Picture this, a quiet Wisconsin town, a happy 13-year-old girl smiling in her family photos. Then, in the dead of night, her world is shattered forever. Jayme Closs vanishes from her own home, her parents brutally attacked, and suddenly everyone's asking, where did she go and is she even alive? It's hard to wrap your head around how a suburban bedroom turns into the scene of a terrifying kidnapping. But this isn't fiction. This really happened. When I first dug into the details, I couldn't believe how calculated the abductor was, how Jayme was trapped for nearly 3 months, and how every lead seemed to vanish into thin air. You'll hear things like the killer slipping up by leaving a truck boot open, or a terrified run through freezing woods that feels straight out of a movie, but every bit of it is real. We've pieced together police records, 911 calls, and Jayme's own words about the fear she faced in that isolated cabin. And trust me, the moment she finally breaks free, it's the kind of escape you have to see to believe. So buckle up. You're about to follow Jayme's unbelievable journey from that fateful night right through to her daring, heart-pounding rescue. You won't want to miss a second. Barron County, Wisconsin, nestled among dense pine forest and shimmering lakes, it's the kind of place where everyone knows your name. In October 2018, Jayme Closs was a typical 13-year-old, honor roll student, star guard on her junior high basketball team, always laughing with her 2 younger brothers. Their house sat on Gooseneck Road, a dead-end street surrounded by cornfields and the occasional deer grazing at dusk. Life moves slowly here. Friday night football games, fall harvest festivals, snow piling up in winter. Folks lock their doors more out of habit than fear. Jayme's parents, James and Denise, owned a used car dealership in nearby Barron. Weekdays, Jayme rode the school bus, stopped at a friend's house after practice, and shadowed her older sister's cheer routines. In a community where missing a game meant missing the whole town, no one could imagine how quickly Jayme's safe world would be ripped apart. By the time anyone realized she was gone, there were no clues. No footprints in the snow, no eyewitnesses on that quiet rural lane. Just an empty house and a community, bracing for the worst. This is where our story begins, where ordinary life collided with an unthinkable darkness, and a brave girl would change everything. It was a chilly Monday night, October 15th, 2018, when everything changed for the Closs family. Their single-story home on Gooseneck Road sat at the end of a narrow driveway, a simple white siding house surrounded by towering pines and whispering cornfields. Inside, 13-year-old Jayme Closs was finishing her homework at the kitchen table, while her parents, James and Denise, and her younger brother Jake, settled in for the evening. Just before 10 p.m., a sharp thud rattled the front door. Denise thought it might be a stray animal, but when she opened her bedroom door, she saw a dark figure in a ski mask kicking through the door's lower panel. The intruder burst into the living room holding a shotgun. Denise's instinct was to dial 911. Her trembling fingers punched in 911 as she lurched forward. Her voice crackled over the phone, saying only, "Someone's broken in," before a muffled gunshot cut her off. Meanwhile, Jayme Closs raced down the hallway, flipping on the bedroom light as he confronted the masked man. The attacker shot James once, and he collapsed to the hardwood floor. In the next instant, Jayme, who had been hiding in her closet after hearing her mother scream, crept into the hallway. The intruder yanked Jayme out, slammed her against the refrigerator, and forced her toward the back door. He shoved her outside into the cold night. On the wooden deck, Jayme's small frame struggled in his grip as she tried to break free. He dragged her down the back steps and into the cab of a waiting white pickup truck, parked just yards from the door. In her panic, Jayme left a single muddy footprint on the door threshold, later photographed by detectives as key evidence. The truck's rearview mirror bore a fresh scrape that matched the chipped paint above the kitchen window. In less than 2 minutes, Jayme was gone, and the house stood eerily silent, except for the echo of her mother's frantic 911 call. trailing off as the line went dead. By the time neighbors called police, Jayme Closs was motionless in the kitchen, and Denise lay wounded beside the phone. The front door gaped open to the October chill, and Jayme Closs had vanished into the cold Wisconsin night. By the time officers arrived, just minutes after Denise's 911 call, Barron County Sheriff's deputies were met with chaos. Denise Closs, though shot twice, was clinging to life on the living room floor, phone still pressed to her ear. Jayme Closs lay motionless by the kitchen island, his final words never spoken. The front door stood wide open, a single muddy footprint trailing from the threshold into the house. Inside, deputies found Denise conscious, but barely coherent. She managed to whisper, "Jayme, taken," before losing strength. Paramedics rushed her to a hospital over 50 miles away. Meanwhile, crime scene technicians scoured every inch of the home, cataloging shell casings, blood spatter, and Denise's half-open bedroom. Outside, officers blocked off Gooseneck Road, while drones hovered overhead, scanning cornfields and pastures. Within 30 minutes, word spread across local radio and social media. An Amber Alert blared on TV. Missing child, Jayme Closs, age 13. K-9 units scoured woods. Neighbors posted Jayme's smiling face on Facebook, begging, "Please, help bring her home." By 3 a.m., dozens of calls flooded the sheriff's office with sightings and rumors. But for now, Jayme Closs was still out there, and the investigation was just beginning. By first light on October 16th, investigators zeroed in on one critical clue. A white Chevy Silverado spotted near the Closs home the night Jayme disappeared. Several neighbors saw the truck idling on Gooseneck Road around 9:45 p.m. A local mechanic called the tip line. He'd repaired a Silverado with a fresh scrape on the bumper just days before. Deputies raced to the auto body shop 40 miles away and confirmed the scrape matched a paint chip on the Closs home. Inside the truck, detectives found traces of blood sent for DNA testing. The vehicle's owner was identified, Jake Thomas Patterson, 21, an ex-Marine with no prior record. Police obtained a search warrant and raided Patterson's home. They seized a camo jacket stained with Denise Closs's blood and photographed muddy footprints matching those at the Closs home. Digital forensics traced Patterson's phone to the Closs driveway at 9:50 p.m. on October 15th. Surveillance footage showed his truck stopping at a gas station later that night. By afternoon, Patterson was the primary suspect. Neighbors watched in disbelief. A former Marine caught in a nightmare crime. Within 24 hours of Jayme's rescue, Patterson was in handcuffs, charged with kidnapping, murder, and attempted murder. All because a single scrape on a white truck didn't go unnoticed. For 88 days, Jayme Closs lived in a cramped, windowless cabin deep in the Wisconsin woods. No electricity, no running water. Just a bare plywood floor and a thin mattress in the corner. Jake Patterson forced her inside the moment she arrived, bolted the door, and warned, "Don't even think about running." Jayme was given stale granola bars, canned green beans, and half a jug of water, far less than a growing teenager needed. She learned to ration every crumb, saving dry cereal in her sweatshirt sleeve for when hunger hit. At night, she huddled beneath the mattress, praying her body heat wouldn't reveal her to the lone infrared camera Patterson set up to watch her every move. The abuse was constant. Patterson slammed her into walls for asking questions or eating slowly. He reminded her he knew where her parents' bodies lay, that he'd kill her if she tried to escape. To survive, Jayme clung to tiny routines. Before Patterson woke, she'd slide her hand beneath a loose floorboard, finding scraps of paper and pencil shavings, small things he didn't notice. She carved "help" into the wall one afternoon, then erased it before Patterson returned. She mapped every inch of the cabin in her mind. Weak latches, creaky floorboards, and how far the main road lay through snow and trees. By day 60, Jayme had lost over 20 pounds, but her determination grew stronger. She memorized Patterson's patterns, when he left for supplies, how long he stayed away, and when the Wi-Fi in his truck briefly caught a signal. Every detail mattered. And when January 10th, 2019 came, with Patterson gone for a pizza run, Jayme knew it was her moment. It was January 10th, 2019. 88 days since Jayme had been taken. The cabin was silent. Jake Patterson had told her he'd be gone for a few hours. Normally, that wouldn't mean much. He was unpredictable. But that day, something felt different. Jayme listened carefully. No footsteps, no muffled TV noise, no boots on the porch. For the first time, she noticed the house key left carelessly on a table. The door, usually barricaded, was unlocked. Her heart pounding, she crept forward, slowly unstacking the bins blocking the entrance. Every plastic bin sounded louder than it should. Every creak felt like a scream. Once outside, Jayme didn't stop. She ran, in oversized shoes, a sweatshirt 2 sizes too big, frozen ground beneath her, and fear fueling every step. She bolted through snow-covered woods, branches scratching her arms, ice tugging at her ankles. After nearly a quarter mile, she reached a dirt road and spotted a woman walking a dog. Jeanne Nutter, a retired social worker. Jayme ran to her, blurting out the words rehearsed for weeks. "My name is Jayme Closs. I don't know where I am. He killed my parents." Jean, stunned but calm, wrapped Jayme in a jacket and led her to the nearest house. Neighbors immediately recognized her. She'd been on every news channel, every missing persons poster. They called 911, and when the dispatcher answered, Jayme said, "I'm Jayme Closs. I've been kidnapped, and I just escaped." Officers swarmed the area. Jayme stayed at the neighbor's home, drinking water, still shaking. Police radioed her description, and within hours, they spotted Patterson's vehicle 3 blocks away. He didn't resist. When asked why, Patterson said, "I was going to keep her forever," but Jayme had written her own ending. She escaped on her own. No search team found her. No miracle tip led police to the cabin. She waited, planned, and took the chance. That day, the world stopped calling her a victim and started calling her a hero. Just hours after Jayme's escape, officers found Jake Patterson's red Ford Taurus creeping down a rural road nearby. Inside, Patterson was calm, even casual. When deputies ordered him out, he raised his hands and said, "I know what this is about." He was arrested without a fight. In custody, Patterson confessed quickly. He admitted spotting Jayme one day behind a school bus, and just knowing she was the girl he'd take. He planned the kidnapping for weeks, shaved his head to avoid DNA, and chose a remote cabin so no one would hear her screams. Detectives found his answers methodical and emotionless. He faced multiple charges, 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, kidnapping, and armed burglary. Facing overwhelming evidence in Jayme's own statement, Patterson pleaded guilty 2 months later. In May 2019, he was sentenced to life without parole. The judge called his crimes one of the most heinous acts ever seen in Wisconsin. Justice arrived quietly, swiftly, and permanently. Jayme Closs returned home, not as a lost girl, but as a national symbol of survival. When reunited with family in Barron, the entire town came together. Yellow ribbons lined mailboxes. "Welcome home, Jayme." Banners fluttered in the cold wind. Behind the celebration was a deeper truth. Jayme lost everything. Her parents, her home, her childhood. Despite it all, she didn't hide. Jayme worked with trauma counselors, slowly rebuilding confidence in safe spaces. Experts say survivors of abduction often face PTSD, anxiety, and trust issues for years, but Jayme showed remarkable strength. In a rare personal statement, she said, "I am strong, and I'm getting stronger every day. She went back to school, resumed normal teenage life, and received letters from around the world, from strangers, survivors, and supporters inspired by her courage. In 2020, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children honored her with the Courage Award. Jayme's story became more than a headline. It's a reminder that even in the darkest places, hope survives. And sometimes, hope escapes. Jayme's story shook headlines and reshaped conversations across America about child safety, abduction, and survivor resilience. Law enforcement used her case as a training example, showing that persistence matters, even without leads. Her escape proved survivors aren't just victims. They're often the key to solving cases. Police departments revisited their rural abduction protocols, response times, and communication with survivors. Families everywhere became more alert, more aware how quickly normal can turn to nightmare. Jayme gave silent strength to thousands who once felt invisible. Her bravery reignited national focus on missing persons cases, especially cold ones. Her name reminds us, never assume the worst and never stop searching for people and for justice. Jayme Closs didn't just survive. She rewrote the ending of her own story. From a quiet Wisconsin town to the national spotlight, her courage echoes far beyond that cabin in the woods. If this story moved you, don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started with stories that need to be heard. Drop a comment below. What would you have done in Jayme's place? And share this video. Someone out there might need this story more than you think. Stay aware. Stay strong. And remember, heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they just don't give up.